Miles needs a fresh start after his powers stopped working properly, and it's time to see how a Spider-Man can fight against a speedster like the Flash. This is Comicstorian, we do audio dramas, and today we're going to be covering Miles Morales issue number 10. With everything going on in Miles' life, he needed to take a step back and collect himself. After barely scraping by the fight against Carnage, as well as battling against Rabble, Miles' spider sense has been kicked into overdrive, and it's been warning him about threats that aren't really threats. But today is the day that he's going to take his girlfriend, Starling's advice. Today is the day that Miles Morales goes to therapy. After webbing up his way across Brooklyn, Miles enters into one of Misty's hideouts to get himself a bit of privacy. However, the individual that appeared on the holo projector gave him a bit of a shock. Doc Samson suddenly appears in his giant green Sasquatch form, telling him that he's sorry for being a little late. He was having a bit of trouble establishing a good connection from where he's at. He goes on to explain that he spoke with Misty and she mentioned that he was looking for some help. But before they begin, should he refer to him as Spider-Man or something else? Miles stares at the projection for a moment, his mask off and his identity out in the open. But it's Doc Samson that explains that currently they're blurring his actual face, so he doesn't know. So Miles explains that Spider-Man would be fine, and Samson laughs. You got it. No need to worry about your identity. There's a built-in privacy scrambler making your face unrecognizable. Now, it says here that you've been having issues with your powers. Miles looks at him. Yeah, well, really just one in particular. My spider sense. Samson gives a light laugh, telling him that he's known a few spider people, and from what he understands, that's completely normal. Miles looks at him. Really? It's just I've been through so much over the past few months, and the things that used to work, they suddenly don't. Samson tells him that it's also normal. Sometimes as their trauma and problems grow stronger, so do the methods at which they combat them. So how about they try something new? Some stress management exercises, breathing. Just relax, inhale, then exhale. Begin when you're ready, Spider-Man. Miles takes a moment to settle himself in, and as he does, he takes in a deep breath, holds it, and then exhales. After a few more times, Samson tells him that he did wonderfully. How do you feel? And to Miles' surprise, he tells him centered, focused, lighter? I'm not completely fixed, but this is as normal as I've felt in a long time. Samson begins to laugh, telling him that it's a great first step. This exercise isn't an answer, but it's used more as an anchor. It's a means of calming the mind so that one might focus. Miles asks if it's because he lacks focus, and Samson says no. From the sounds of it, he has too much focus. It appears that he's worried that he won't have enough time to react. But you spider people are specifically built to deal with that, thanks to the innate precognitive nature of your spider sense ability. The two talk a bit more, but at the end of it, Samson says that he thankfully came to him looking for help, and they'll get to talk more about it soon. As the projection fades, Miles sits back. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Maybe this is something I can get into. He begins to head back home, but his spider sense goes off again. At first in one spot, then another, then another. Before panic has time to set in, Miles stops. He breathes, and as he does, he concentrates on the specific location. And when he does, he realizes whatever it is aiming right for his web. He begins to feel himself falling as the convict speedster, Hightail, runs across the building using a knife to cut through the webbing that is holding Miles up. Miles catches himself. Hey, it's Speed Lady! And Hightail tells him that Agent Gao wants to keep extra close tabs on him. All he has to do is keep his nose clean and they'll be fine. Miles looks at her. Look, I get the Cape Killers are doing some quid pro quo stuff, but I'm just minding my own business over here. I'm not even doing vigilante stuff. She stops. Really? Then why are you running around with your mask on? Okay, I was really hoping to avoid this, Hightail. Hightail looks at him. What? What are you trying to avoid? Miles starts to web her down, but she effortlessly leans to the side at super speed. Did you really try that? Stupid! And she launches a supersonic kick that Miles hardly has time to defend against. After a few more blows, Miles falls backwards, and Hightail says that he ain't running from this. He laughs. Ha, you're right. I'm not. At that moment, Hightail notices the webbing that Miles is holding is attached to her back. I already know from Scorpion that you can't kill me, so how about we start over? Hightail tells him that Gargan might be right about that, but she needs to remind him she's not like the others. Before even finishing her sentence, Hightail then takes off, dragging Miles behind her as she begins to bounce off flagpoles, AC units, and even pigeons before he's suddenly flung off of another rooftop. Miles tumbles, jumping up. Why can't a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man catch a break around here? And Hightail holds out her cuffs. Sorry, but I have my own stuff to handle. Okay, fine. But one last thing I should tell you before we do this. And what is that, Spider-Man? Miles activates his camouflage. I can do this! And he fires a ball of webbing into her face. She screams in rage as she rips the webbing off. I am going to kill that kid! And even with her super speed, Miles finally manages to catch a break as he jumps onto a passing train. A little while later, Miles climbs back into his apartment, finally free of Hightail. He grabs a snack and remembers, or rather, smells, something he forgot to take care of. The trash. He grabs the bag of trash, heading outside to throw it away, but his spider sense skyrockets again. A shadowy figure jumps out of the back, and Miles creates his Venom Saber, swinging it, cutting off the attacker's arm. He looks down. Oh god, I'm so sorry. I thought you'd be stronger than that. I'm still figuring out this whole sword thing and... Suddenly, the attacker's arm grows back with a gross squelching sound, and Miles stares at it. Oh, phew, almost had me there. The red-eyed vampire lunges once more, but he's stopped as two swords stab him from behind. As the vampire falls to the ground, Blade steps forward. You're gonna need to strengthen up that stomach, boy, because you're about to enter a whole new world. And Bloodline, his daughter, pokes out. Try not to mind my dad too much. He just likes to make an entrance. To be continued.